Hello, listeners. Welcome to the third episode of Supah Sports. Today, we are joined with the three of us here. The rest of the crew. We're missing one guy, obviously. How we doing, guys? How you guys feeling today?
Doing all right. A little bored.
Yeah, no, the boredom's starting to kick in for sure. Days are getting longer and nothing more to do. But, hey, I guess Bubba's out on this. We're supposed to have four of us, but the communications guy can't figure out the technology. Who'd have thought, but let's do it.
Ironic.
Yeah, I mean, he was telling me he had an episode, not an episode, he had a class over the phone one day, and it wasn't working too well, so I don't know how else he does it. He's got a Chromebook, and that wasn't working too well, so I don't know how his classes are going.
You got to adapt.
Show goes on.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently he hasn't learned too much about the production side, but anyways. So we're moving some headlines here today. Some news, actually, the breaking news not too long ago was UFC 249 has been canceled. The Masters has been moved to November. And Brandon Cooks, the old Patriot, he's been traded to the Texans by the Rams for a second-round draft pick. You guys got any thoughts on any of these opening headlines here, or what's going on?
Man, a little disappointed in the UFC 249. Was just hoping that it was going to be something to keep us entertained. And I thought Dana White's idea of the Fight Island was an absolutely incredible idea. But unfortunately, it couldn't happen. I mean, we kind of saw this coming, that this would have had to have been canceled. But it is what it is.
Yeah, going off that, I think this was kind of inevitable. Dana White obviously wanted to get it done. He was doing his part, but it kind of comes down to, like, businesses all over the world are shut down. Is this really more important? And it's not, I guess. And it was someone higher than Dana White shut it down. But then the Cooks trade, it's a good pickup for the Texans, but you kind of wish that they could have got better value after their Hopkins trade earlier. So that end of things isn't so great.
Yeah, I mean, they trade Hopkins for a second-round pick and then trade a second-round pick for Cooks. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But
yeah, I mean, this guy Cooks has literally made a trapezoid of the United States of America right now. I mean, started off in New Orleans, went up to New England, and then he went across over to L.A., and now he's going down back to Houston. I mean, this guy, he must love his shapes. I don't know what's going on here. But, yeah. Then we got the Matt. What was that?
He's only 26. He's got some time left.
Yeah. No, he's had some good years. I mean, he's had over 1,000 receiving yards in New England. I think he had like over 800 or so in L.A. He's had a pretty good career. I mean, he runs fast. The only problem is he runs those deep balls and he has those short arms, so the balls keep just going right in front of him a little bit. But yeah. Anyways, we got the Masters in November. It's a little late for my liking. I wish they could have maybe somehow got this into like mid or late October. I understand with the I believe it's the Ryder Cup coming up this year, 2020. So they had to fit it in a certain time window, but it might be a little cold compared to like April's like early like mid spring for Georgia. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the course is, but it should be in pretty good shape. And then UFC 249. Yeah, I mean, they're the only sport that's, like, still trying to do stuff, like, in the United States around that, and he tried to find every loophole and try to figure this out, but, yeah, I didn't really see much of that really happening. But anyways, let's transition to our first topic here today. What we have is going to be our, your top Boston just top Boston movies. Let's start off here. I'll start off with my number 5 movie. My number 5 is Patriots Day. What do you got, Laurie, for your number 5?
For my number 5 is 21. Maybe not the best critically acclaimed movie, but I like to play blackjack, even though it seems like every time I sit down at a blackjack table, I'm out like a paycheck. But I like to see how these guys work. Be pretty cool to be able to count cards, so that's my 5.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna get a little bit of shit for this, but I got Good Will Hunting at 5. Obviously it's an all-timer, but I think it's, in terms of the plot and everything, it's good, but my movies, it's penciling at 5.
Yeah, so I got like I was saying, I got Patriots Day at 5. My favorite scene of that movie is actually when the Watertown cop, I forget his name, the bald guy, comes up to some dude during the movie, and some guy who works comes up to him, and he's like, yeah, he's like, it's fucking weird. He's like, every time I turn down my left blinker, my right window goes down. And the guy's like, what? And then he goes into the driver's seat, and he turns down his left blinker, and the guy's right window goes down. And he goes, yeah. He goes, that is fucking weird. Anyways, so my fourth favorite movie is Gone Baby Gone. I think it's a great movie. Yeah, so what do you got, Laurie, for your fourth?
For my fourth, I got Ted. Hilarious. Shout out Brett and Manley, family friend in that movie.
Hi-yo.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely hilarious. That's my fourth.
Yeah, I got The Town coming in at number 4. Obviously action-packed, Fenway, the whole 9 yards. Bunch of Charlestown bank robbers. Ben Affleck, that's my favorite movie of his. And I can't remember his buddy's name, but the guy who plays his best friend does a pretty good job, too.
Yeah, so my feedback on my fourth one, Gone Baby Gone, is I think it's a great plot, and the guy who's the crooked cop who ends up being the guy who's guilty in the end. I think he's the mask he wears when he comes in is a kind of boss and everything. But yeah, it's a great movie. So people kind of forget that that's a big Boston movie. Number 3 coming in for me is Black Mass. I mean, I'm an Irish kid. I get a kick out of all this stuff. I love all the Whitey Bulger stories and everything. I think Johnny Depp plays a great role in it. Yeah, so that's my number 3 for me. What do you got, Laurie, for number 3?
For number 3, I got The Departed. A classic. Leonardo DiCaprio. Not my favorite Leo DiCaprio movie, Wolf of Wall Street, but up there.
Yeah, I'm similar to you on this, Matt. I got Black Mass, too. I'm a little Irish myself, so little hits home there and salty and stuff. But you learned a little bit, too, so it was good. But my favorite scene from that one is the one where he scares the shit out of that guy at the dinner table.
Secret recipe.
Secret recipe, yeah. Kind of just absolutely fucking rattles the guy. So I think that's and like you said, Depp does an unreal job. So that's a good one.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving into our number 2s here. I got The Town at number 2. I mean, there's so many good scenes from that movie. Plus just Charlestown bank robberies, everything. It's great action, good names. I mean, who doesn't love Jem? And then you got Slane, the Boston guy. You got his last name's McGloin in it. He's a Boston rapper. And then obviously Ben Affleck. Yeah, so what do you guys got for 2?
For 2, I got Good Will Hunting. How you like them apples?
Yeah, no, saying scenes out of that one. My boy's wicked smart. No, I'm talking about you two guys. But how you doing? Number 2, I got Gone Baby Gone. Like Matt said, it's an action-packed, good one in Boston. Casey Affleck does a knock-up job. My favorite scene from that one is it says, "Make me a cranberry vodka, you fat retard." So that's not bad.
Yeah. My number 1's The Departed. I mean, there's the collection of guys in that movie from Mark Wahlberg. You got Alec Baldwin, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Even that girl in the movie, I can't think of her name right now. But yeah, there's some good cranberry reference in that movie too, where he's like, "What are you drinking?" And he goes, "Cranberry juice." And he goes, "What is it? You period?"
Yeah.
There's also another line I love in that when he goes, I can't think of it right now. Oh, when he's at the driving range, Alec Baldwin's at the driving range, and they're talking about his wife to Matt Damon and all that. That's a great scene. So what do you think, Laurie? What's your number 1 Boston movie?
My number 1 is The Town. Just action-packed. I think Ben Affleck does a great job in that movie. Yeah. Love the scene where they rob the Brinks truck, obviously. That's a great one.
Yeah, I got The Departed at number 1. I think this is arguably the best movie ever made. The cast, first of all, is unbelievable, like you said. You got Matt Damon and DiCaprio basically deking it out on 2 opposite sides. And then Wahlberg, who plays kind of the wise ass, but then he comes in for the last scene and absolutely just cleans up the whole mess. So that one, I think, is just unmatched in terms of any movies, but Boston movies, it blows them out of the water.
Yeah, and actually, my favorite scene just came back to me. I kind of forgot about it and just put a little filler in there. It's when Alec Baldwin's addressing them all about after like the Miles Kenneth fix or whatever tape comes in, and Mark Wahlberg comes in and he's like, everyone's like asking him questions about it and everything. Like, do you got a like detective like deep in there? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, maybe not, maybe fuck yourself. Yeah, that's a great scene. And then so it moves into our second topic here. This is gonna be a pretty controversial topic here, I think. So we're talking about your vacation spots for people who live in New England. Are you a Cape Cod guy or are you a New Hampshire or Maine guy? What are you guys' initial thoughts on this? You guys got any preferences here?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I'm not knocking the Cape Cod at all. Unreal place. Mayflower Beach is the best spot, maybe. But I grew up on Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, which is my favorite place to vacation. So I think that the more of the city vibe you get up there is a little bit different than you get in the Cape. And for some people, they like that more. You got more like clubs type of things, casinos, arcades. So it's more like interactive, a boardwalk type of thing. So I'm going to say New Hampshire and Maine. A couple other nice spots is York Beach, Old Orchard, Maine. Two similar spots to Hampton Beach, but a little bit like real family-oriented parks and shit like that. But yeah, no, I'm going to take the northern route on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Maine, Old Orchard Beach, going there every year, but I got to take the Cape on this one because, honestly, it just, when you cross that bridge, like nothing else, I mean, you got, obviously, the Cape League baseball, the best summer baseball in the country, and, 4th of July in the Cape, nothing like it. But, yeah, I just can't beat that feeling of, crossing the bridge over into the Cape, whatever you're doing, going to the beach, playing golf, Cape League. It just feels like, a vacation home, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm more of a Cape guy. I mean, I grew up, my grandparents have a Cape house in Harwich on the water. Not a big deal. It's a pretty nice place. I feel like the further down you go on the Cape, like by exit wise, like I get off on like exit 10, but like I feel like the further down you go, besides like P-Town where, all that stuff goes on up there. But like the further on you go, that you're like, the more you're chilling. Like if you want to go more like exit like 8 to like 6 or so, like it's more like party, you got like Trader Ed's, you got all those places, all those bars. It's more of like a party life kind of type deal. And then Lower Cape, if the more towards the ocean, it's more like bougier. Then the more north you are, it's not as nice. Also, I hate people who consider like Plymouth and Wareham part of the Cape. It's you're on the Cape until you cross over. Like let's be honest there.
Wareham is definitely part of the Cape.
You think Wareham's part of the Cape? I don't know. No way.
You're not going to vacation in fucking Wareham. Dude.
Yeah, I'm
Wareham has a Cape League team.
They do, yeah, the Gatemen. But like, come on. If you're not on the islands, like you're not. It's like lost.
You're not. You just hit the baseball games with a couple old coaches.
Yeah.
But in terms of the north places, I think it depends on what you're looking for, like you said, because the Cape, you get more chill as you go down. The north, I think it's a little bit different in the sense that people like to be out and doing stuff, more interactive, opposed to just sitting on the beach all day. Like you're doing stuff like going into like the woods, hiking. If you're a camper, I'm not a camper, but and then when you get higher up into Maine and stuff, you can jump off the rocks and stuff into the water holes. So if you like that type of scenery and stuff, then that's something you got going on.
Yeah, so where I go with this is where I get a little like torn between is like I mean I'm a big golfer, so like during the summer, like on the Cape, like I love a lot of their courses like during like the summer and everything, but they're like good like summer courses and stuff. But there's a lot of courses that I've played like up in the mountains, like at like Killington, Green Mountain National, and then my favorite place to actually go is Sugarloaf Mountain, which is a big like ski resort, but they have a sick golf course. The place is like so tough. Like if you break like 78 from the tips there, like you're playing like a phenomenal round of golf. But those are kind of more like off land. I'm not really a big like along the coast guy for like New Hampshire or Maine, but like I know there's a ton more lakes, and I feel like the like New Hampshire, Maine's more like a outdoorsman type thing. Like you want to go like like on your like ski-doo, or you want to like wakeboard, or tubing, stuff like that. Like a lot more outdoors people. Like you can still do some of that stuff on the Cape, but I feel like a lot more people who are like orientated like that go to like New Hampshire and Maine.
Yeah, and you just kind of made me think of another point. Actually, huge point that I think no one's really thinking about right now. If you go to New Hampshire or Maine, you got 12 months of stuff you can do. The Cape is 4 months if you have a good summer.
But you can golf. You can golf almost year round in the Cape, though.
In the middle of winter.
People who ski and snowboard and have New Hampshire houses.
Fair, I don't ski.
This is true. But it rarely snows on the Cape, which is why a lot of old people live there. You're not going to shovel a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
but I'll tell you, it's not an ideal place to live in the winter.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, the drug usage goes up in the winter and all that stuff, but right now, I mean, it's less hassle for some people.
Vacation spots, no?
With the
What's
privacy.
We're talking more vacation spots here.
Well,
right?
we can go a little off vacation here. We can go into a little.
Yeah, well, I'm saying vacation. You can vacation up in December vacation to your New Hampshire house to ski. No one's doing that to their Cape house. They got to go to the Bahamas.
A lot of restaurants closing down and stuff too. But also, another part I want to touch on here is I think the Cape Cod beaches, especially the further down you get, like once you hit like Nauset and the National Seashore and everything, I think the beaches are a lot more pretty on the Cape than they are and the water's not nearly as cold as up in New Hampshire and Maine for the ocean side.
You're right about that. I'm a cold water guy though, and I like the big waves, so you're gonna get that more up in New Hampshire than the Cape.
Yeah, I mean you'll freeze your balls at Nauset, that's for sure. I mean,
I've
been there before. Okay, now we're gonna move into our last topic here, which is gonna be quite a long one, but it's gonna be a very good one. We're gonna be talking about some of our favorite / best college athletes and teams since 2000. We're gonna start off here with some names that people probably forget from some of the from basketball and football for college athletes. I'm gonna start us off here with a couple names. One of my names that first comes to mind here is Darren McFadden, who played for Arkansas. I mean, people don't really remember him. He was war number 5 running back. He was an absolute beast. A couple of names I'm gonna list off to start is gonna be Morris Claiborne, cornerback for LSU, and Patrick Patterson, who's another cornerback from LSU. I think these are names people forget that were just great in college. You guys want to list a couple other ones you guys got off the top of your mind?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go another LSU guy because you just said it. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, arguably one of the best secondary players we've seen in college. He was unbelievable. He's still making a good pro career for himself. I guess so is Patrick Patterson. But then another one, Real Peppers, Michigan defensive back, and actually Michigan everything. He played a little offense, special teams, kick returner. He was unreal a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get back into Tyrann Mathieu for sure, Super Bowl champion now in his professional career. But a couple guys in college football I got is Marcus Lattimore out of South Carolina, running back. I think one of the biggest what-ifs ever in terms of the pros, because he had 2 gruesome knee injuries his sophomore and junior year. Got drafted by the 49ers, but actually never ended up playing a game in the NFL. And another one I got is DeAnthony Thomas out of Oregon. Just fast as lightning. Always predicted him as winning the Heisman, but it never panned out. But, a good, really good college player.
Yeah, so I'm going to list 3 more guys here. Kellen Moore, old quarterback for Boise State. He kind of put them on the map. He kind of made them like a nationally ranked program for like over almost a decade or so. Another guy is D. Brown, early to mid 2000s, point guard for Illinois, the Cornrows. He was a stud. And then Taj Boyd. People forget about Taj Boyd with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson coming through to Clemson. Taj Boyd was kind of a stud in college as well.
Yeah, and then a couple more. I'm going to go defensive players on this end. SEC, who just absolutely breeds 90% of the NFL defensive players there are. Couple linebackers from Alabama, Patriots, Dante Hightower. He was a beast there, as well as C.J. Mosley. He was unbelievable. And then Jadeveon Clowney, who maybe made the best hit in the history of college football. He's obviously still doing it too. So those are just beasts who have always been beasts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that hit, Jadeveon Clowney, was something else. I'm going to go first with another defensive player, Manti Te'o. How's your girlfriend?
Missing. Not a thing.
Not a thing. But an absolute beast on the field. Had some questionable decision-making off the field, obviously. Monty Ball out of Wisconsin, one of the better running backs that we've ever seen in our life. Kind of overlooked, never had a great NFL career, and I think people kind of forget about the college career that he put together. And another one on that end is C.J. Spiller out of Clemson. Again, a beast in college. I mean, had a decent NFL start, never really panned out in the long run. Buffalo Bills, but yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, actually, I saw C.J. Spiller rush for I think it was almost 400 yards, almost broke LaDainian Thompson's record at a game at Boston College. I think probably like 2008, 2007 maybe. Yeah, so I'm going to list some big guys here, some big centers in basketball. You guys might forget a little bit. Hasheem Thabeet from UConn. He was like 7'2", absolute monster. He was very good. Luke Herringody from Notre Dame, big Irish kid, and I think he averaged like 23 and 12. He was a beast. DeJuan Blair from Pittsburgh. He was a big boy. He also grubbed boards, put up a lot of points. And then one other big guy I want to mention here is Kenny George's. A lot of people don't know that name, but he was that 7'6" guy from Middle Tennessee State who he didn't have to jump to dunk. He was like all over the place. But yeah, obviously he couldn't translate to the NBA. He couldn't get up and down the court because his shoe size was like a size 23, I believe. You guys got a few more you want to mention here?
Yeah, just a couple last football guys. Denard Robinson, the quarterback, running back from Michigan, who was an absolute tank. I don't know if he ended up winning the Heisman or not, but I don't think he did, but he was a beast. And then Case Keenum from Houston, who I think is overlooked in college because of Houston. We've heard of him in the pros, and he's not doing great. He's just an average quarterback, but I think he might lead the NCAA in passing for all quarterbacks, so that's pretty legit. Not a big deal. Is that good? And then we're going to basketball, Matt. Another big guy you didn't mention was Greg Oden.
Okay.
Who was one of the best prospects of our time, who just absolutely, his legs just shit the bed on him. He was too big and he couldn't withstand it, but that sucks because I think he was taken right before Kevin Durant, right?
Yeah. Jay Sully was good for them too. Sullinger.
Oh, yeah, he was on that team.
Or, yeah, I don't know if he was with them or after or whatever, but yeah, another big guy from Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go two Ohio State guys here. Jared Sullinger was going to be one of my guys.
Oh, my bad.
And then Aaron Kraft, just a dog on defense. Absolute beast. I loved Aaron Kraft. And Peyton Siva, another guy from Louisville. Kind of forgotten, but those teams were always good. National champion Peyton Siva. And then CJ McCollum at Lehigh, as a 15 seed, beat the number 2 Duke. So I don't think you can forget about him.
No.
Yeah, so I'm just going to round us off here with a few guys who I thought we might have missed, who are not in some of our top lists here once we go into after. I got Michael Crabtree. People forget how good he was at Texas Tech. I mean, I think he had like almost 1,800 yards receiving. Doug McDermott, a guy from Creighton. I mean, he put up a ton of points. I know Flabo is not too fond of him. We going to Creighton and put up those numbers he did, but still very solid there. Tyler Hansborough, the freak. Obviously, everyone remembers that game where he broke open his nose and was bleeding everywhere. I mean, he's one of the best college basketball players of all time. Lawrence Maroney, when he played for Minnesota, people forget how good he was. One of the biggest busts in college basketball history, minus Anthony Bennett from UNLV or San Diego State where he went. Adam Morrison from Gonzaga. I think it was 2006, I think it was. He was supposed to be insane. And then I got Jamarcus Russell, who was one of the biggest quarterbacks of all time in weight and kept on putting it on when he got in the NFL. Then you got Colt McCoy and the Shipley brothers from University of Texas. And then obviously you got Jimmer Fredette. And that's about it. And the last one guy I want to touch in here on is Hakeem Warwick, an old guard from Syracuse who put up big numbers when he was there. So now we're gonna move into our college football players, our top 5 favorite / best players. I'll start off with my number 5 guy here. I have actually a duo here. A lot of people probably forget. This is one of my favorite duos in the NCAA football games, which was Steve Slayton at running back and Pat White at quarterback. Running the speed option. It was unreal. So that's my number 5 there.
So that was honestly my number 2, so that's going to throw me for a curveball. But I'll start off with number 5, which was Chris Leak, the 2000, I want to say 6 quarterback for Florida. I remember me and Lardy I made a poster for him. Lardy made a poster for another quarterback when we were in 2nd grade. He'll talk about that. But I hadn't heard anything about this guy forever, and I just did a little research on him before the show, and he's been since removed from my top 5 now that he's going through like a sexual assault charge as a teacher. He lost his teaching license. This Chris Leak guy. So,
I guess it leaked.
He's canceled.
Yeah.
In terms of that poster remark I made, Troy Smith, Ohio State quarterback. But my number 5 is, bringing it back to what I said earlier, was Marcus Lattimore. Absolutely loved watching him, and just wish everybody could have seen him in the NFL. Think he was on pace to be a great running back in the NFL. Unfortunately, those 2 gruesome knee injuries, and I will never forget where I was watching that first one. That was disgusting. But Marcus Lattimore out of South Carolina, running back. That's my number 5.
Yeah, so my number 4 here, which I think I might be even lowballing a little bit here, but just the way I thought of him. I got Vince Young at number 4. He's one of the best college quarterbacks of all time. I'll talk about this a little bit more when we go to one of our last topics, but that 2005 Texas team came into that game against the USC team in 2005. And they upset them, and then one of what I think was maybe the best national and college football championship game of all time. So who do you guys have at number 4?
I got Michael James, running back from Oregon. Those Oregon teams, I don't know if it was the jerseys, the fact that they played late at night, but they were always so exciting. Him and D'Anthony Thomas just returning touchdowns. They were putting up, 60 a game? They were unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the name I was missing earlier, Michael James. I had Kenyon Bonner and D'Anthony Thomas. But for my number 4, I got the pride of BC football, Luke Kuechly. Unfortunate that he had to retire a little early from the NFL, but completely understand it with the whole, CTE concussion protocol nowadays. Luke Kuechly was absolutely phenomenal at BC.
Yeah, wherever the ball was, that's where he was. He always led the league in tackles and everything. Number 3, I got a guy, I think Laura, you mentioned him earlier, Jabril Peppers. He was a freak from Michigan. They have him at safety, they have him at linebacker, wide receiver, kick return, punt return. You name it, he did it. He was one of the most exciting players I've seen in a long time in college football. Who do you guys have for number 3?
Number 3, I got Julio Jones. Obviously, he's a stud now, but Alabama wide receiver. He was unbelievable. Georgia wide receiver. Unbelievable, but...
No, he was Bama. Was it
Bama?
Yeah, he was Bama.
I kind of fell in love with him then, and ever since he's been with your boy Matty Ryan, he's been ripping it up. So
As he should. Yeah.
For my number 3, I got, one of the more iconic college football players of our time, and Reggie Bush, USC, just number 5, absolute beast. Some of those, Rose Bowl games, dive towards the pylon. Reggie Bush just got some great moments, absolutely electric. Would run around everybody. Love Reggie Bush.
Yeah, so we're going to start with our number 2s here. I have Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. This guy in college, honestly had some of those things like testing positive for weed and failing drug tests and all that. But, dude, when he was in college, his punt returns and some of the TDs who make some of the big hits, he was one of the most exciting college football players I've watched in a long time, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Number 2, I have Christian McCaffrey, Stanford running back, obviously now for the Panthers, but he was a beast at Stanford, and I'm a big Stanford guy ever since Andrew Luck, honestly. But no, he showed what he was going to be in the pros then, and I think the Panthers just absolutely got a steal.
I want to just throw in one forgettable name to remind me of there is Toby Gerhart, running back from Stanford. People forget about that guy, I'll tell you that much.
Right?
Yeah.
For my number 2, I'm going to have to agree with you, Maloney, the Honey Badger. Like you said, he had the problems with, laying off the weed in college, but let's be honest, who hasn't had those problems laying off the weed at one point or another? Just so happened that he was in the spotlight and was going to be a top NFL draft pick, and for some reason he fell because of that. But I feel like every NFL franchise right now is regretting that because he is an absolute stud in college and now in the pros, and we can call him, like I said earlier, Super Bowl champion, Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, and then my number 1 player, who I just thought, he basically just defined college football. He was literally just made off of college football, is Johnny Manziel. This guy, I remember watching him. They were 9-0 or they were 8-1 going into 9-0 Alabama. They went in there and they scored 21 straight unanswered to start the game, and it was a crazy game to watch. It might have even been 28-0 to start. I forget, but yeah, it was a crazy game. So yeah, he was my number 1 guy for college football.
Yeah, my number 1 for college football is maybe the first college football player I remember seeing, and my favorite football player ever is Megatron from Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Calvin Johnson, that's where he got to start. He was just, I think, the best athlete that we've ever seen in football. Looked like a basketball player, but he was just special. I wish he didn't have to go play for the Lions after that and 0-16 season. I don't know if he ever made the playoffs, but I think he was the best wide receiver talent we've ever seen.
Yeah, I got to agree with you with that Calvin Johnson was kind of robbed having to go to Detroit and play for the Lions. But my number 1 favorite, again, I didn't know that me and you were going to have the same favorite too, Tony, but Johnny Manziel easily, just like you said, defines college football. He went out, like you said, beat Alabama. He was beating all the top teams in the country, and now that you look back at it, who knows what that guy was doing the night before. And even more respect, first freshman to win the Heisman Trophy, and again, wins the Heisman Trophy that year, and really, who knows what that guy was doing when he was off of the football field. But, that's what college football is all about, right?
Yeah, the unknown. The unknown. All right, so we're gonna got some flabber?
3 guys I don't think we mentioned for football. 3 quarterbacks. So I want to ask you guys the order in which you want to take them is Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, and Baker Mayfield. How do you rank those guys that we didn't mention, all Heisman winners?
You also got Bradford and RG3, Joe Burrow. Yeah, there's a ton of guys we didn't name.
Lamar Jackson.
Jackson, yeah. But I'd probably go I'd probably take. For college, Tebow probably number one, and then Newton, and then who was the last guy you said?
Who did I say?
Baker.
Oh, Baker. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's tough. Like, those are three of all time like greats.
Probably the best college football player, the best college football player we've ever been alive for.
College football team player for sure. Like,
it's probably Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Two-time
Yeah.
champion. And I got he graduated as the SEC leader in completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio 5.5 to 1, rushing yards by a quarterback 2,947, rushing touchdowns by any position 57, in total touchdowns 145. I mean, the guy was just an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And couldn't translate to the NFL, but
yeah.
Or the MLB.
So.
All right, so we're gonna move into our next part of this discussion here. We're gonna draft our starting lineup since 2000 for college basketball. I'll lead us off here. We're gonna start with the guard position. My starting point guard is gonna be Jason Williams, the white boy from Duke. He was insane when he was in college. Who do you guys got started point guard for you guys?
Go ahead, Lardy.
White chocolate. I agree. Not I agree, but I respect that. My starting point guard is the pride of Roxbury, Shabazz Napier, two-time national champion. Yeah, that's what I got, Shabazz Napier.
Yeah, I got Trey Burke. Easily my favorite college basketball player of all time. That shot he hit in the national championship game from almost half court. Big time memories versus Louisville, a team I hate. But no, he's my point guard.
Yeah, so then for a shooting guard, I don't really like the guy that much, but he was just so dirty. I remember watching him. He was the best shooter I ever seen, like, of all time in college. JJ Redick is gonna be my shooting guard. Who do you guys got shooting guard?
I'm gonna go again with a Massachusetts guy here. Pride of Arlington, Mass. This time, Pat Connaughton was an absolute beast on Notre Dame for 3 years. Went to the Elite Eight as pretty much the best player on that team. Absolute freak athlete. He was Mr. Basketball and Mr. Baseball his senior year.
Yeah, Gatorade Player of the Year for both of them too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Don's crap. Yeah, I mean, just a freak athlete.
Yeah, I got at shooting guard Marcus Smart. Kind of just he played a little bit of point guard, but just
Yeah, you can throw him in there.
Just absolute grit. Just still doing it for the Celtics. You kind of knew he was a nut. He was punching guys in the face then, like little fight at Oklahoma State. But
He had that beef with the fan.
yeah, exactly. But hey, no, he's a beast. So yeah, he's definitely gonna be on my list.
So now we're moving to the small forward position. He was actually a Mass guy. People don't really remember he was a Mass guy. North Shore guy. Michael Beasley. I got him at my small forward. Kansas State. Coached by Frank Martin. I mean, he was ridiculous in college. The fact that he never turned into a superstar in the NBA kind of shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my small forward, got a former number one pick, Andrew Wiggins out of Kansas. Kansas, usually my favorite program in college basketball. He was an absolute beast, just a freak athlete. Yeah, I'm going to beef up on these last three. Couple of number one picks.
So, I got, for small forward, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist from Kentucky. He played on that team with Anthony Davis that won a national championship. Kidd-Gilchrist was taken somewhere in the top 5. He was second team all, he was taken second. All right, that's what I thought. And he was also second team, but he was unbelievable. One of the best defensive players I've ever seen in college. Just an absolute freak of an athlete. He's still playing in the pros. He hasn't been great, but hey.
And he stuck around.
Yeah.
Absolute motor.
All right, so I'm going to start off with our first power forward here. I got Blake Griffin. I mean, some of the dunks he had, never mind when he, early on in the NBA, but some of the dunks he had in college. I remember he hit his head off the backboard like twice, I think. He was an absolute monster for Oklahoma in college. Who do you guys got in the power forward position?
Yeah, my power forward position, I got Zion. Just, an absolute freak. And I'm going to call him the second best prospect that we've ever seen. I'll get to the number one prospect next. But, yeah, absolute freak athlete. And like you said, just dunking on everybody, hitting his head on the rim. Could jump through the gym.
Yeah, so no, I know who you're going to take next now. It's starting to feel like my team is going to get absolutely bullied by these number one picks, but I'm going to stay the course. I'm taking Jeff Green at the power forward position from Georgetown. Came up and played for the Celtics. I think he was part of the Ray Allen trade when he got drafted, so he's always been a part of our lives. But no, he was nasty at Georgetown. Played with Roy Hibbert. They were a good team.
Yeah, you actually just let me into my who I'm taking for center, and it's Roy Hibbert. He was an absolute just unit, an absolute building down there at 7'2", 7'3", especially in college when he still had a ton of mobility and everything. So yeah, that rounds up my team there.
Yeah, and for the center, the best college athlete I've ever personally seen, in my opinion, is Anthony Davis. So dominant. 38-2 that year. They win the national championship. Number one overall pick, and obviously he's still proving it to this day that he was just a freak in nature. 6'11" with guard skills that could block anybody.
Yeah, now he's playing with the best passer and maybe the best player ever, so that's good for him. But my center, I'm taking the guy Matt already talked about, is Tyler Hansbrough. I think the guy just defines college basketball. Just like you said, the mask, the whole nine. He's like 6'8", 6'9", playing like center power forward. He won National Player of the Year. He was just unreal. He was a real treat. Him and Ty Lawson, Danny Green, that team was unreal.
All right, yeah, so now we all wrapped up our teams. Let's kind of move quickly through here. Some of our teams from 5-1 for college basketball and college football combined. Some of our favorite / best teams that we've seen since 2000. I got a couple honorable mentions here. The 2007-2008 Memphis basketball team with Chris Douglas Roberts and Derrick Rose. And then another honorable mention would be, for my favorites, would be 2005-2006 BC football, Will Blackman, Matthias Kiwanuka, Matt Ryan, Brian Toll, and BJ Raji. Which leads me into my number 5 team, this is also kind of one of my favorite ones, is the 2004 and 2005 BC basketball team, which had Craig Smith, Jared Dudley, Sean Marshall, Sean Williams, and John Oates. And that was a crazy team that year. They were so fun to watch. I mean, obviously going to those games. Lardy had a little experience there with Sean Williams before he was no longer an Eagle, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was out, you're a young kid, you get dragged shopping with your parents. I'm out with my dad, and I see Sean Williams, and I point him out. So, I'm being a young kid, I'm a little shy. My dad walks over, says, my son thinks you're Sean Williams. He talks to us for a little bit, and then he gets a call. He says it was his sister. Who knows who it really was. But then the next day, I'm watching SportsCenter, and Sean Williams gets caught with a bunch of drugs, gets kicked off the team. So looking back on it, he was probably on those drugs when I met him. Young kid, had no idea, but yeah, pretty funny.
Your pick, Lard, or are you going to skip that?
Yeah, who's number 5 team, Lard?
Alabama football 2017, 2018, when, Jalen Hurts is one of my favorite college players of all time. Unfortunately, in the national championship game, he kind of choked, got taken out of that game, and that's when the legend of Tua began.
Yeah, number 5, I'm going basketball. I'm going Virginia basketball from 2018, 2019. Kyle Guy and DJ Hunter were a couple of the big names there. But talk about just fundamentally sound. Just won a game in the 50s, and just go watch Virginia play defense. Kyle Guy come down at the end of the game, knock down a 3. So that's definitely going to be on my list.
Yeah, so number 4 here, I got 2004 USC football. You had Matt Leinart at quarterback, Dwayne Jarrett at wide receiver, another name people forget, and then Reggie Bush at running back. Who do you guys got for your guys' 4 spot?
For my 4 spot, I got Kansas basketball, 2008. Sharon Collins, Mario Chalmers win the national championship. Sharon Collins, one of my favorite players. That shot Mario Chalmers hit will never be forgotten. One of the best college basketball moments, we've been alive for. That was a great team.
Yeah, at 4, I got Florida football, 2006, I think, going off my guy Chris Leaks, used to be guy Chris Leaks' team. He had Percy Harvin and Andre Caldwell at wide receiver, so they were pretty interesting. I don't know what the final result of that team was, but...
Yeah, so actually I'm feeding off of that. My number 3 team is the 2008 Florida football team, which had Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, Riley Cooper, the Pouncey brothers on the O-line, Marquise, and there's the other one. Then Percy Harvin was a junior on that team, and Brandon Spikes used to be the hard hitter for the Patriots. So you guys got in 3 spot.
My 3rd team, I got Notre Dame basketball, 2014-2015. They lose in the Elite Eight, I think. But that's Pat Connaughton, the block in the corner. They got Bonzie Colson, another Massachusetts kid. Just in Notre Dame, too. Just an easy team to root for, especially with 2 of those Massachusetts kids on it. I love Notre Dame, but that's my favorite Notre Dame team.
Yeah, I got Florida basketball, 2006, 2007. Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Ronnie Brewer. They won, I think, back-to-back.
Corey Brewer.
Yeah. I think they won back-to-back national championships, so they were an absolute wagon.
So my number 2 team here is the 2005 Texas football team that with Vince Young. He honestly didn't really have a crazy supporting cast, and they beat USC. They were big underdogs that year. There's another team of the Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush era.
Yeah, for my number 2, I got the UConn basketball 2014 team. I know a lot of people will take the Kemba team, but personally, I was a huge Shabazz Napier fan again, out of Boston. That run was incredible, and to beat Kentucky in the national championship, the 3rd national championship in 10 years, I think, at that point for UConn. Shabazz was just so fun to watch.
Yeah, I got Michigan basketball at number 2, the 2013 team with Trey Burke and Glenn Robinson. That's mainly because of Trey Burke. I just love that guy. He was an absolute motor. But yeah.
Yeah, so my number 1 team here is actually back to Miami football. I barely remember this team. I vaguely remember this team. 2001 Miami football team. They had.
I don't remember that team.
No, I don't really remember this team at all.
No,
but
I didn't think so.
But they had 3 Hall of Fame running backs. They had Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, and Frank Gore. They also had Jeremy Shockey and Kellen Winslow Jr., who actually played better than his dad, who was a legend in the NFL in college. And then they had Sean Taylor, R.I.P. Then they had Ed Reed, and this is obviously this team just went on and on for the next couple of years. This is before they had like Will Fork, Jonathan Vilma, and a ton of other guys. But yeah, I mean, this was the start of something crazy that down in Miami.
Yeah, one of the better 30 for 30s, both of those,
part
1 and. But my number 1 team, easily, I think, personally, my favorite and I think the best team that I've ever seen in college is the Kentucky 2011-2012 with Anthony Davis, Marquise Teague, Deron Lamb, Terrence Jones, and then Michael K. Gilchrist. I think that was either 4 or 5 number 1 picks.
First round picks.
First round picks. But yeah, an absolute fucking wagon. 38-2. The only knock on them is that they lose the SEC championship game. But
Who was that to?
Vanderbilt.
Oh, okay.
He's obviously got a lot more to play for in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Because, they were going to be the number 1 seed regardless. Then they go on to beat Kansas in the national championship game.
Did they have a nasty shooter at that point, Vanderbilt? Or am I thinking of a different team?
You're thinking of Ronnie Hummel from Purdue, I think.
Yeah, Purdue.
Same color
right.
scheme.
Yeah.
So number 1, I got UNC basketball 2009. I talked about them earlier. Hansbrough, Ty Lawson, Danny Green. They won a national championship. I think they went to the Final Four the year before, but they were unreal.
All right. Well, I think that's about all we have for today. Make sure to send your questions into us you can comment on Twitter, send them via direct message on Facebook. You can send them us via email at supahsobahsports@gmail.com. Basically, we're looking for some more topics for the next couple of weeks, non-sports topics or sports topics. Make sure to send them in to us with sports being down right now. And, that's about all I got for today. You guys got anything else to say?
I'm good.
Yeah, not much. Thanks for listening. Send your stuff in and stay safe.
All right, that wraps up for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in.